Hello, welcome back to my channel, and thank you for returning. I greatly appreciate it, especially people who liked our previous videos. And speaking of videos, we're making one. In fact, we're doing something rather different today. You know, I've never really gotten into the whole interview format thing, but we thought we'd try that. And tonight we have a very special guest here. We have my wife, Mrs. Deathdollie, who you may have seen in other videos briefly. And, you know, along this journey, I transitioned 30 years ago, in 1995 and through till sometime after 9/11 when it became impossible. And back then I hardly ever ran into another trans that was like me. It was most of the people were 90% of them were working girls, and there would be a very small percentage that they just knew they were born in the wrong body and they wanted to become women and essentially become invisible afterwards, and that idea didn't appeal to me very much. And but I knew I wasn't quite like them. I felt I was more felt the definition of a two-spirit person, but I'm not Native American, so can't claim that one. But sometime in my absence, they invented this thing called TransFemme, and which describes me perfectly. And to my surprise, there are quite a few of us actually. So we know a lot about girls that they're going to get their bottom surgery, they're going to go through the whole process, get their F marker, and etc. And good for them. I mean, there's no confusion, no ambiguity for them. But for trans femmes, it can be a little confusing. It can be a struggle because, especially if you don't have access to resources or information, you feel this rather pressure you want to fit in with the other trans, and that doesn't always work out. And so in that process of discovering that there was actually quite a few trans femmes out there like myself, I also discovered that more than half of them are still in committed relationships, as well as some of them are happily married and even have families just like us. But the one thing that struck my curiosity was I never hear from them, and they almost never mention them, or rarely share a photograph. I understand some people are trying to protect themselves. I get that. We kind of went through that ourselves, and
darling, I know how to protect myself.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So we're going to be letting Ms. Deathdollie share her mind tonight. We're going to ask her a series of questions. And again, this is a wife's interview. And I want to say this, that while we're likely not going to solve anybody's problems tonight, we're not going to change the world with this interview. But if anything else, it might give you some insight that maybe if you are in such a peculiar, I won't say peculiar, rather unique relationship or marriage, and you are with a partner that is going through a transition, and you're trying your best to be supportive, and we know there's unique challenges along the way. God knows I put her through hell this already. Well, first she had the unpleasantness of me going through detransition in the wake of that, and that wasn't very pleasant for her at all. But now the agony to come back because there were a lot of issues outstanding prior. Now that we're here, we want her to share her thoughts, and just maybe out there as someone that is again in that relationship and feels like they're alone, and at least they'll walk away from this interview knowing that no, they are not alone, and perhaps maybe their experiences are not necessarily so unique and a little more commonplace, and the solutions are maybe out there, and maybe who knows what will come from this. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start our interview. So I'm going to first ask you, just tell us a little about your background.
Well, I grew up in Texas. I moved to California in 2020. No.
In the 20s, no, you got here what, 2003?
Actually 2002.
2002. Wow. Okay. A lot of crazy stuff was happening at that time. I mean, it was the wake of 9/11. It was the world turned into a very scary place. I mean, yeah, today's a scary place again, but different set of circumstances. God forgive me, I am drinking, and but again, this is my channel, and I don't give a fuck. All right, so here we go. So
So I'm from Texas. I moved here in 2002, and I always knew that there was more to life than where I was from. So I wanted to follow my dreams, live my authentic life. Why wouldn't I support someone else living their authentic life?
precisely. You've told me before that you were initially attracted to, androgynous rock stars, and that's kind of put you on a path to eventually finding me. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Ones that wear makeup and just, every day you just didn't see that back home. So it was just, I was drawn to it, and then I was listening to music, and then I really got into the music, and just, I don't know, it's just my preference.
Okay, there you go. And of course, this is, your attraction is not putting you on a position where you are questioning your own sexuality and on any level.
I know exactly who I am and what I like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and I only ask that question because people may want to understand that.
Oh, the silly little. Do you consider yourself a lesbian now? It's like, first, don't put it as a derogatory. And I don't go around introducing myself as, hi, I'm such and such. If I know you, it's, you know my name. And if I don't know you, it's none of your fucking business. And you'll know me by Ms. Deathdollie.
Right. Okay. So, let's see where we are with this thing. So, we had, guys, excuse me here, dealing with our pitfalls here and a little problems because guess what, my vision is not so great these days, especially at nighttime. We have to shoot late because our kids just
it was mainly for the fireworks.
Yeah, the fireworks and stuff. And so when we first got together, I was already a couple years into a slow detransition, and unfortunately I had the goth scene. And so, when I still wore makeup, I still dressed very androgynously, but I was no longer on hormones, and the after effects were not pleasant. And I tended to have a lot of bitterness, a lot of depression, and unfortunately this was a terrible way to start a relationship, but this poor woman went through it.
We didn't start a relationship back then. We were just friends.
We were just friends, but you were still dealing with it. And tell us a little about how you handled that. I mean, most people would have ran.
Because I'm stubborn. You thought you were stubborn?
Mm-hmm.
You knew you met your match.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
No, I just had to get you to see that you needed to value your worth and live your life authentically.
Yeah, that was kind of hard considering my background, and the problems that there's a saying in Okinawa, particularly in the Okinawan language as opposed to Japanese, that it's in a particular song called Chinsaga no Hana, and they say that there are countless stars in the night sky, but the words your parents leave you will stay with you for eternity, and it kind of haunts you. And so every negative thing that my parents threw at me that attacked my self-worth, I still hear it even though they're gone already. And I'm sure that's kind of dogged you as well. It's like people don't understand that it's this kind of sets people up to fail in certain ways, and I struggle with this, and if you did, you sure as hell hid it from me.
Because I'm stubborn. Don't tell me I can't do something, because I'm going to do it.
So, and I'll just elaborate further that my depression, particularly during that period, was so deep that I did try to off myself a few times, and that's been a problem, particularly. But along the way, during this last 10 years, I started running into trans people again, and I would approach them, and I would talk with them, and I would tell them about how I lived a life, and they kept saying, "Why did you walk away?" And why I says, are you coming back? You know, because they could see there was a piece of me that felt like I made a big fucking mistake, and I'll admit I did. It was the wrong move, but I had no support. Today, there's a lot of infrastructure. There is a lot of support. You know, this evil regime is trying to destroy all that. There still are support networks that didn't exist prior.
But you know that I was behind you. I supported you because there was one decision that you made when we first started hanging out that I was like, you don't have to do that for me.
Yeah, which I'm not going to get into,
No.
but
Need
but
to
I
know
will
basis.
I will disclose that I was very upfront about my past. Some
Yeah.
of my previous girlfriends just got up and ran. I had,
But
you know,
that's any relationship. You're going to into any relationship. It doesn't matter if it's straight, lesbian, transgender, or transfemme, or transmasc. It doesn't matter. You have to be honest
Yeah.
with the partner.
and that's what I told her when we first got together, that, you know, I'd already been in a dictatorship. You know, my first marriage was kind of like that, and I wanted an equal partner, and you know, sometimes it kind of irks me. Sometimes it's like I'm gonna get it right back in my face sometimes. But you know, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because that's honesty, and that's the only way any relationship's gonna survive. But I knew that if I tried to come back, you know, on the program and try to live this life again, it was going to be different, because now I'm much older, have a lot more trauma, you know. But we had one little complication. See, I mean, I had children before, but I raised nothing but girls, and we had already had a child. It was a girl, but my fourth child turned out to be a boy, and I agonized for 3 years. I have delayed my decision to come back because I didn't know how to cope with this, and I talked about it in a previous video. But I'd like to ask you about how you felt about supporting that decision, considering my concerns regarding our son.
I was supporting you. We discussed it. We were both in agreement. You know, let's broach this slowly. Just kind of test the waters. Just kind of see. Our girl, I knew it was going to be easy peasy. She loves it. With our son, I wasn't sure.
He surprised us.
And,
He surprised us. So.
You know, I was worried about him getting bullied at school.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he was amazing. He is Ava's biggest support system.
And mind you, he has been getting a little harassment, but it's very minimum, and we addressed this in another video.
What's so awesome is, at 4 years old, remember when he came in the bedroom and woke us up and said, I like girls. It's like, okay, buddy, but you're going to finish school.
My boy. Yeah, so I always tell him, I said, you know, keep your shit together. One day you'll get all the girls. You know? Okay, so moving on. You know, so we covered the, you know, complications with children.
Oh, remember when one time I put on a red wig? He tripped out on that. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
my boy didn't like that. It's like, okay for me, but
it's
so
like,
I don't know about that one. Well, we're gonna work on that
Ava
one.
should be red and mommy should be blonde. Okay.
Yeah, so you know, tell us about your thoughts on how we presented this to our children.
I think we did a great job. We talked to them, and they've seen us when we would get to go out and go to a golf club. You know, honestly, it's really not that different. We just incorporate other colors.
See, I tried to do this in my first marriage, and everything seemed going pretty well for a while there, and then somebody demonized the whole thing, and then wife number one turned against me on it, and everything went south there. But so far, everything's going really wonderful with that.
And also, the school is
very supportive.
Very supportive. If it was just regular public school, I would be concerned. But the school is amazing. Ava has no problems picking up the children. It's a very loving, supportive environment, because it's all inclusive, multicultural, and
they do teach about respect and diversity there, and acceptance of other people, which is a good thing. So that's why it surprised us when we encountered a little bigotry. It's an unfortunate thing, but as the school reminded them, this is a school of choice, and if you don't like their values, you can take your kid elsewhere. So, moving on. As I warned you about what happened to me when I was on hormones the first time around, how did you roll with the initial first changes that you start to see in me when I started back on hormones?
Oh boy. Sometimes there's a little too much hormones in this house.
There's just way too much estrogen here.
It's like, darling, you were the one that said you wanted a high maintenance girl.
I became the high maintenance girl.
But
she's rolling with it. It's like if she hasn't strangled me yet, here we go.
She's still breathing.
So I'm doing something right. I get called bitch a lot.
Oh, yeah. But it's a term of endearment.
Oh, yeah. It's the whole Emily Latilla thing.
Maybe it's my inner Latina.
Okay. So, when we first started doing this, mind you, we're almost now fully 2 years into we're now 2 years, we're past the 1 year mark of HRT returning and going through initial changes.
And I can tell you are much happier.
Oh, I'm a lot happier.
Yeah, it's been a good thing. Because when you first asked me, I'm like, why are you asking me? You don't have to ask me for permission.
Well, I felt it was an obligation to at least run it through you. I wasn't just going to do it.
I appreciate that we talked about it, but you didn't have to ask for my permission.
Again, the honesty in our relationship.
It's like, how could I be happy to build a future when I knew that you were miserable and not happy?
Yeah, well, and again, this is why communication is key, and that's with any relationship. If you're a cisgender, hetero relationship, or you are in a unique relationship or a gay relationship, doesn't matter. Honesty. Trust me, it's the best policy. And
it's great sharing fashion and makeup tips.
Well, there is that advantage because we like a lot of the same things, and as our Deathdollie thing that we do when we go out to the clubs, it is kind of become our shtick,
Yes.
to go out and matching and making cool posters as if we were running a band or something. It's getting kind of cool, and I really love that. And that's been a lot of fucking fun. I gotta admit, I've had more fun. Definitely more fun in this transition. The last transition, I didn't have any fun. It was all about being fierce. And you always know, relaxing. There was no fun. It was just the whole fucking time. This time around, being the manic depressive with absolutely no self-worth for the longest time, and a string of career failures. Just always depressed all the time, and everyone's like, "Well, it's the goth music," and then, "Oh, it's the drugs," But no, it's just not being happy with, who you are, and of course, again, the words of your family, they'll stick with you and they'll fuck with you, but so learning how to smile, and I smile a lot because I'm finding these moments of what they call trans joy, and it's amazing. But nothing, of course, tops when I hit equilibrium. The first time, it took me 7 years to hit equilibrium, and someone crushed it on the same day. This time, it's been magic, and I love it, and I'm glad she's happy with it. See me happy.
Of course. That's what any partner should want their partner to be. Right.
So, your initial concerns, about me. First I tried to transition socially, and then you were really terrified about me going out in public at first.
Well, yeah, of course, because you were going out by yourself due to logistics that I couldn't always be out there.
We're not necessarily talking just nightclubs and stuff. We're talking just the day-to-day, taking the kids here and there. It's like, I didn't want to hide anymore, and so she was rather worried. But
we live in Los Angeles. It's a very woke city.
I hate that word.
Yeah.
It
but
just sounds like a grammatical error to me.
I'm still gonna worry. I go, I'm a mama bear.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I was very concerned and, protective, and, I eased up.
Yeah, you definitely, I go everywhere now, and But I mean, I do know there are certain areas that are just for safety concerns, they're best left not tread. And some areas I know might be off limits, but for the most part, most of the city is rather open, and I pretty much go anywhere, and I almost rarely do I get a dirty look or something. But I mean, and if it is, it's by one of two types of people, and we won't get into that right now. But so moving on from there, our next big problem, okay, because the school was real. We have both our children in the same school system, and they're a charter school. And again, we talked about it with them, and they have lent us an amazing level of support, which I've been very grateful for, and really appreciate all that. So you folks out there, if by chance you're watching, we love you for it. So next came the next group of people that we had to deal with, and this one is kind of an ongoing thing. And even though there's very few of them left, still it's dealing with family. Tell us about your concerns and how we've had to deal with family.
Yes. Well, we don't see my family. Another subject, not for this video. Your family, that's still here. Treading very, very lightly. Very, very lightly. And one even said, make them stop. Are you kidding me? How can I tell somebody not to do something? Hello? It's like, this is their life. This is my life. No. I shut it down.
And, they're, like I said, this is kind of hard for them, but the irony is the only two people in my family that object to my transition are, ironically, the only two people back 30 years ago that supported it. So it's like, what happened? Fuck if I know. I don't know. Boomer thing. I don't know. But we're kind of forcing the issue because grandkids want to see grandparents, and
I'm wondering keep them away from me.
I made it very clear. I've already legally changed my name. I'm about to get my driver's license in the mail. Any day now. Then we're gonna go for passports. I mean, I'm not gonna play the game anymore. I don't want to anymore. It's like I live as Ava. I don't want to pretend to be an old version of myself that wasn't happy.
Exactly.
It's not fair, and it's not right. And they've had 2 years to acclimate, and they either accept it or they don't. And I wish they would, but well, we'll see. That's a play by ear. So, getting back to your thoughts. Here's something that other people in our situation get asked, and I hear this from other people. It's like, how do you describe the dynamic of your relationship? Do you consider yourself lesbians? And I always find that one very amusing because I know some lesbians. I've even gone to lesbian clubs, and I can tell you, I'm not a lesbian. I mean, I like women. Remember, gender and orientation are two different things, and so far she hasn't really got it that much in her face, but I've been trying to brace herself. So your thoughts on that?
I don't identify by labels. Just because I like a hamburger doesn't mean I want to have a hamburger every single night for the rest of my life, or sushi every single night for the rest of my life. I don't go by boxes. Just like I'm Gen X, I don't go by rules. Right. Well, we're the punk rock generation, so we kind of make up our own rules, and
to me, trying to say that we're a lesbian. It's kind of ambiguous. We've always been. I used to joke in the beginning. I wouldn't mind if you. It's like if you want to call me your wife, I'm good with that. I function as one. There are couples that there are not always lesbian couples that have they call each other wife but that's not how all lesbians are. I don't want to really speak on that because I can't give you the nuances of their experience.
I just think it's weird and cringe that someone else,
but
that's not us, is worried about how we identify.
It's largely hetero cisgender people that want to throw that label at us, and in the old days you'd get that from the working girls, but these days, you don't get that anymore.
And I was like, I'm sorry if you're not or financing me, you don't have a say. And then again, even if you were, you still don't get a say.
So, I mean, if you are in this type of relationship and you want to call yourself that, I mean, that's your choice. But for us, that doesn't work. And you know, and at the same time, again, as Miss Deathdollie puts out, being Gen X, we don't like other people defining us. We define us. We make our rules.
Exactly. We are the narrators of our own autobiography.
Correct.
I am not letting anybody else have the pen.
That's right. I'm the author of my own narrative. Absolutely. Okay, so well, I had the question about how do people see us, but the thing is, they almost never see you because you work from home. So the only time they see us largely when we go to clubs, and so at that point, you know, everyone's pretty cool. So.
Well, that's the only people I want to deal with, because outside there, it's too peoply.
Okay, so, all right, so now I mean, you might choose to gloss over this one or not. Okay, this might be a little touchy, and, there's some trade-offs about doing this transition. I mean, to gain something, I kind of lose a few things, and how do you feel about that?
You're still you. You're still a person.
Right.
Our relationship isn't based on that.
Right. You know, I just don't want to play a certain role anymore.
Besides, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, hide
That's
the
all I'm
knives. All right. Oh, good.
Did I stutter?
No, you did not. Okay, so. Oh, well, you are from Texas. You ex-Texas.
Ex-Texan.
You ex-Texas. Okay, so, well, until rather recently, you know, we had Trans Pride recently, and, you know, and you're well aware that I, you know, been going to a rather group therapy that's been hosted by the LGBT community, and, pause 1 second. Okay, so we're back here after a momentary. So, until recently, she's been aware I have been reaching out to people, and you know, first we had a trans person come to our temple who got embraced real quick until I guess they discovered her little secret and ran out there, and I quickly, you know, ran to her and gave her my support and told her, look, you know, I used to be you know, and it was really sad how she was treated, and it really bummed me out, and you know, and from that point, and eventually we started having other trans people move into our building, and so I would just talk to more trans people, more type, every opportunity I could, and eventually I found the LGBTQ center here, and started networking, and through that I started going to a group therapy, and the amount of support, while not perfect because they're being overwhelmed because of the current situation, I'm thankful it's there, and so for my wife, haven't really been exposed to all that. Unlike before, we had different clubs and stuff where we could see that. We had Trans Pride Festival, and that was a first opportunity for her to see not only others like me, but all kinds of trans mass. You know, trans girls are going to become post-ops, some post-operatives, young and old. I mean, and give us your thoughts on what that experience was like and how you see the support that the community is giving to us.
It was beautiful and amazing. All the love, everybody complimenting everybody from all walks of life. And that's the way it should be. Because people of quality never fear equality.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you shouldn't. I have not had any of my female identity taken because you're TransFemme.
No,
none.
So JK, stop talking shit.
You know, it's like, you know who is trying to take away rights? Is those cringy little cis boys in government that's trying to do
Well,
it.
there's also the Nancy Maces of the world, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Insecure people that are really, and you just look at their pictures. I mean, they look miserable all the time.
Yeah.
All that hate it's really bad for your complexion, you know, and above other things. But yeah, so Well, I mean, hopefully we'll be doing some more events down the line, and
I hope so. It was beautiful. I felt at home. I felt comfortable.
I mean, it was incredible to see not just a couple hundred trans, but like 1,000 of us, you know,
Yeah.
and then the
It was
after
awesome.
party was kind of cool too, you know.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, we're looking forward to that. And then there was the Trans Pride parade out here, and seeing so much support and love, and of course all those
Yes.
free Mac stuff. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah. You're missing out. Wait, maybe we shouldn't say.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We didn't say that. Okay. So, all right. Well, this is just again, you know, preliminary interview. We can think of some more things or if she would like to add some more things. Would you like to add some more final thoughts?
I know that everybody it hasn't had an easy time with situations that I have, you know, because, you know, to me it was a no-brainer. It's like,
What advice would you give another woman, a cisgender woman that's in relationship with a trans femme? What advice would you give them that maybe they're not sure how this is going to work out, or you know they have any questions?
they just have to realize that their partner is going to be the same person. It's just a different outfit. Makeup and clothes are not gender inclusive. I have never bought a bottle of perfume or a tube of lipstick where it said for biological women only.
However, I have seen men's cologne that said for men only. I have seen that,
Well,
but,
yeah,
but I've never
That's
seen
just
a
a
bottle
lot.
of Chanel that says for women only. And no, I don't ever see that. No, or underwear that said that.
But
or,
see, that would work for a trans mask because they are a man.
well,
There you go.
again, you know, it's like different part of the spectrum, you know. And I often refer to being transgender as a spectrum, just like you know how it is with autism. There are different varieties and there's different degrees of how we are.
And straight people wear nail polish, you know?
Right, but aesthetics aside, I mean,
They just have to have open communication with their partner.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be honest with themselves, honest with their partner.
and
And if it's something that they might struggle, they need to seek support groups in their area.
there are some
and
support
there
groups.
are support groups.
Yeah, maybe not everywhere, but you know, even if you got to resort to online, I go.
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought of something, and this is something that, you know, that we hear from the other side of the aisle.
And then also, not just for the wives or the partners, the person that wants to transition, they have to be open and honest.
Yeah, it's a
You
two-way
can't-
street.
You have to, because you want someone to accept you for who you are. Don't keep it bottled up with a lie.
Right.
You have to be
You
honest.
can't live a lie. It won't work.
Or
you know?
you can't be going in secret and taking HRT.
Right.
You're going to change.
We've seen this happen before, and it doesn't
Your
end
skin
well.
gets soft.
Yeah, well, I mean, the HRT works, but the marriage doesn't when you're
Yeah.
dishonest. And
Yeah.
I guess I want to ask you one last thing, and this again, this would be probably for the people out there. You know, this is something that people that are really against transgender people, and particularly the few women that seem to be what we call, the English call TERFs, you know, these trans exclusionary feminists, which there's nothing feminist about it, because otherwise they'd be supporting us. They make this claim. It's kind that we're taking away something from them, like
you're not.
like we're taking away their womanhood.
Womanhood is not a piece of pie. I'm not losing anything because you're transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
They're not losing anything.
My femininity doesn't take from anybody.
Right.
I mean, it's like I'm, you know, my femininity is my femininity, and there's no denying that I have it. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be in this position. But you know, at no level does it take away. I mean, do you feel like I took away your self-worth by growing
Hell
boobs
no.
and all this stuff? See.
I know what I got. And I
But-
know what I can bring to
But
the table.
yeah, but these people that's these women that do say this,
I want to be with an equal.
Right.
So, darling, you're
Yeah,
right
I
before.
better get that augmentation going
You
on.
got a lot to catch up with, babe.
Right. Okay. Well,
But no, I don't get that. That's so stupid. That's so Neanderthal type thinking.
to me, it sounds like they've never even encountered one of us if to even make such a
But
statement.
to feel so inferior because they see a woman and she's all dolled up and they're like, well, then maybe you need to put the effort into you. If you can do it too. Anybody can do it.
I couldn't have said that better myself. I mean, I sometimes I get that now and then, I say, why are you so dressed up? Why are you so dolled up? I say, darling, because if I do this half-ass, I mean, people will attack. They will come at your flaws, just like how my family does. First, they can't say anything nice, but they're going to fucking, something's wrong with this, something's wrong with that, and who wants
also, it might be a weekend that we're not doing anything, or it might be during the week when I'm working. I work from home. I'm not putting all my Mac and NARS on to work.
Well, no, you're not going anywhere, but I got to be public.
But what I'm saying is,
yeah,
I still know my worth.
right.
And besides, I want you to look good. I want you to feel good.
It is kind of funny when she goes, bitch.
Yeah, but I mean that in a loving compliment.
I said, what do you think? What do you think of this outfit? And she'll go, oh, it looks real nice on you. And she goes, bitch. To me, it's just hilarious. It's so Emily Latilla.
Oh, but the other night she got that.
That means that they really did something
Yes,
right.
she did.
Well, hey, I really thank you for agreeing. I know it took a lot to talk you into this, but I really felt it was important that, other women in your position hear that they're not alone.
Exist. Yeah. It wasn't I'm not a figment of your imagination. That.
No. But I wanted other women in your position to hear from another woman,
and reach
and
out.
know that they're not alone, and maybe their experiences may be similar or maybe not, but.
And I get that maybe some women's experience isn't as easy, because they might be with someone in a different part of the country and they're with one idea of someone and it's a totally mind-blowing shocker. Mm-hmm. I get that. But any relationship, regardless, you have to be open and honest.
Final message?
She knew what she was getting when we started hanging out, so. Final message.
Final thought you'd like to add, or just talk to the women out there, or perhaps the male partners out there.
Just be honest with your partner. If you want the respect in the sport, just be open and honest. And if it's a new potential relationship, be open and honest from the beginning. Because you don't want to go into a relationship built on secrets and lies.
That's the hard truth. I mean, really.
Because I know for me, it would have pissed me off. You didn't tell me? Why couldn't you tell me? Mm-hmm. What? You couldn't trust me enough?
All right. Now this is a big life choice. It's like some.
Is it really?
Well, it is because again. Depending on some people, depending on where they're from,
true,
the environment they live in, or the how they were raised, they may still live in fear. And some people stay in the closet longer than they should because they feel they don't know where the support is or they don't have the information. And again, 30 years ago, this was a lot harder to do. Today, there's a lot of support out there, but right now we're being challenged because we got this psychopath, that's in charge, and he's determined to, make our existence as difficult as possible.
Oh, and if you're a parent of a child that's trans, you support that child. That is your child, no matter what.
Right, you have to love your children.
Give them the love and support.
That's like, don't make them feel ashamed, and don't make them feel guilty, and don't try to teach
them.
I'll come looking for you. This is wrong. And again, I've covered this quite a bit, and when I've talked about gender dysphoria, there are a lot of positives to this path, but there will be struggle anywhere around it. And almost all that struggle is society imposed. Again, along with the initial depressions and fears and the a lot of the hardships is caused by largely cisgender people and mostly by cisgender males, particularly that feel threatened by us. And again, that's another subject. But
the only people's opinions that I care about is our children and you, and Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Anybody else?
Listen, she knows what she's talking about when I do that department. Well, listen, this was a lot of fun. I'm thankful that you finally agreed to come on camera, and I hope you'll want to come on again. And
sure, anytime.
Or you know, if you want to make your own video, that'd be wonderful too. I mean, we'll see how our audience reacts to this. And again, you know, I thought it was important that. You know, we not only properly introduced Ms. Deathdollie, but you actually hear from her and hear her thoughts.
I'm not a secret. I'm not a fairy tale. I do exist.
Yeah, she does exist. That's for certain. Well, listen, folks, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to do the gothic thing and light me up a club here and finish my wine. But thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like button. Again, I know you hear this from everybody else, but it does help us, and we'd like to keep this thing going. So, because we're having fun with this, and you know, I do get some positive feedback here and there. I know I have to keep the comments off because trolls and there are just some people out there just determined to spread their misery, and I'm not going to let them do it on my channel. The hell with that.
Yeah, because they need to be careful of who you might know.
Right, but I have a target the size of Texas on my back as it is. I don't need any additionals, but or at least we'll have to worry about it because some fool makes something that sounds credible. You know, we don't want that. But anyway, folks, please stay tuned, and again, thank you for watching our channel and supporting it, and we certainly appreciate it. And as I always say, you know, please be good to each other, take care of yourselves, and by all means, you know, just be a good person out there. You know, life's too short to be either ruled or controlled by hate. You know, it's like love is a more powerful weapon than you can ever imagine.
Love is love is love, and love will always win.
All right. Love you, people.